Welcome everyone to the Malvern Retreat House. This video is available on Saturday, and on Saturday we talk about connecting our lives of faith with our ordinary lives. So it's connecting faith and life. My name is Father Jim McGuinn.
Michael Horton.
And nice to see you again there, Mike.
Always nice to see you, Father.
Usually there's three or four people on these kind of round table or straight table conversations, but they're desperate. It's just you and I.
Yeah, boy, they really. Bob, it's funny you say square table. We have to maintain the social distance, so the round table doesn't work anymore.
It does.
A square table.
But it is great to come together and kind of review our personal lives, and the different things happening here at Malvern. Mike, let's talk a little bit about the CA captains meetings that we've been having this past week, and we also have our last one, I think, on Monday evening.
Monday at 6 o'clock, yes.
Yeah.
And what we did was we put together some smaller meetings with captains, trying to get 10 to 15 into one Zoom meeting, so that we could really hear the ideas, the creative thinking that the captains have for helping Malvern as we navigate through this time. I mean, it was important. The first part of the meeting is to set up the guidelines that we have to operate on. I mean, there's certain conditions or certain protocols that we have to operate under.
Sure.
Which is, while we're saying, it's 50% occupancy, we still have to maintain the 6-foot social distance. So all of a sudden we go from 150 down to, say, 60 in Upper McShane. That's the field we're playing on. Mm-hmm. And so how do we, the purpose of the meetings are to share some ideas that how do we meet the needs of the men and women of Malvern? How can we continue the mission out to as many people as we possibly can? Are there other ways to configure things to get more people on site? And they've been very positive. These meetings have been very positive.
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, I've really enjoyed them. So these meetings were kind of a planned follow-up. We're calling them town halls.
Right.
So these CA captain meetings or town hall meetings are a follow-up to the conclave that we had 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago. Yeah. Seems it's hard to track.
I don't know. I just found out it's what's today? The 21st. I'm still back at Memorial Day.
So at the conclave, we explained a little bit about the COVID-19 task force and the different work groups that were part of that.
Right.
Do you think it would be helpful just to go over the thinking behind the COVID-19 task force? And
I do, and I think that these also came out of, at the conclave. I mean, all of us know that this COVID-19, I mean, all of a sudden, we're at work one day and then it's like, hey, you're shut down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, and as Juan has said, it's easy to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're trying to reopen it in a whole new reality.
Yeah. And
the board put together these tasks force to examine various parts of the operation here, and as well as, you have the financial operation and the retreat, how do we deliver the retreats, but you also have the federal, the state, the local guidelines. You have the mandates, then you have the parish making their the archdiocese making their recommendations. So we put together work groups, volunteers, of board members, and other
staff members, and then other people involved just with the retreat.
Right, and then some committee members. Now, some of the board members wore several hats. A guy like Jim Molinari is the vice chair. He's a 40-year retreatant. He's a CA captain.
Yeah.
He's on this committee and that committee. So there was a pretty good cross section. I think it was probably about 25 people that were involved. They gave a tremendous amount of time looking at everything. And I think at the conclave, we delivered that message, which we thought was going to be, we delivered effectively. But what we didn't think of was the input coming back the other way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my hat is off to Jackie Delaney, our chair, because Jackie started these meetings acknowledging that mistake that we made.
Yeah.
And saying, that she was sorry that we didn't invite and give the captains a chance to really weigh in, and that's what the purpose of these meetings were. And I have to tell you, that to me is good leadership.
That's right. Yeah.
So hats off to Jackie.
Yeah, and I think what happened was that things were just collapsing so quickly that the board just said, we need to kind of act quickly to address the pressing needs here at Malvern. So we formed a task force, like lots of organizations,
Oh, yeah.
lots of institutions have done it. And, we've kind of put together a lot of different action items. But one of the things is we probably should have involved the captains a little bit more and got their input and shared with them and explained the methodology more. So it's a mistake. We've acknowledged that, and I think the captains have been very gracious.
I think they've been very gracious about it, and I liken it to, thank God no one has perished.
Yeah.
But I liken it to, the captain in the Titanic, and you hit an iceberg, and he has to start making decisions like this, and then you just don't even think about, you're in that, oh, I gotta get this done.
That's right.
And so, hindsight being 20/20, we realized that we missed that step.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so little mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
What he said.
Yeah, whatever that means. But these meetings have been great. The captains have had some great ideas, and they're raising issues that, of course, we just can't think of everything.
Right.
So let's talk about some of the suggestions that came from different captains.
Well, I particularly, if we look at last night's meeting, Tony Coper from Immaculate Conception, and Tony wants, like the other captains, everybody wants to get as many of their people on the retreat as can happen. And Tony, he had a great line. He said, let us solve it.
Yeah.
Let us solve it. And that's, that's great. So we welcome all the ideas from the captains, and we're exploring everything. I mean, I think it was Steve Vito last night who was talking about, since you have the Zoom capabilities, could you have, the group in the conference room at Upper McShane, and then another group over in St. Joe's Library, and somebody in St. Joe's conference room, and other guys down in
Family Life
Center.
Or another option was, in the Lower McShane.
Right, and then Zoom it into the other area, so there would be one room where you're actually seeing the presenter, another room, and these are things that, that we are exploring, but again, they all have to be weighted against what the reality is, and the reality of some of these things are that, we've cut staff by 50%, so we may not have the staff to meet the needs of that many people on site.
Yeah.
We certainly can't go around sanitizing because of the staff 5 or 6 or 7 rooms, every couple of hours. But it's a great idea, and it's one that in the future, as things lighten up a little bit, maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
So just keep the ideas coming. I do want to just point out Rich Costner from the Chester County group. He had his retreat.
Yeah, that was last week. He thought it was great. The retreatants thought it was great.
The retreatants thought it was great. But one thing that Rich was doing, and Frank McMullen said the same thing, and I think Tony Copa said the same thing. They did their own internal survey to see, hey guys or ladies, are you coming on retreat? And for those who said yes, go ahead and register. Mm-hmm. For those who said, I'm not comfortable coming there, and that's a reality.
It sure is, yeah.
Rich said, okay, well, you know what, we have the Zoom capabilities where you can watch it virtually from home, and really suggested that his men do that. And what was interesting was he had 40 people or 42 people on site, and he had 40 people watching it Zoom.
Yeah.
And it proved that, everybody got the retreat experience, and the captain was really the guiding people to meet that need.
Yeah.
It is a little different doing it Zoom, and I wanted to turn to you because sitting at home and watching it, I'm thinking I can see myself with a thing of popcorn with my feet up. I don't think that's the best way.
It is. We should talk about how to make a retreat virtually at home, and we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Sitting in on these meetings, just really, really good ideas. In Upper McShane, which is our largest space where we can have a conference, we're limited to 60 people. Well, Tony Copa brought up the fact that if there's more people who live in the same house,
right,
they don't need to socially distance from each other.
Right.
So, in the breakout rooms, if there's family A with 5 or 6 people, they can have a whole conference room by themselves,
right,
or a breakout room. Or if another family has a lot of people the same deal. We just never thought of that, so that was really, really good.
And it was terrific, and I think that, that they can sit in a pod or a cluster, if you will, and then you're 6 feet, so they don't have to be 6 feet apart.
Right.
And then you do that. The key there, and again, Tony was taking the time to find out, with his group Immaculate Conception, there are a lot of families there.
Right.
And so finding out who those families are so that ahead of time when we're registering, we know that.
That's right.
Otherwise, when you register, we're saying 60, when it gets to be about 55, it closes and you have to call in. So if you are coming on retreat and you're bringing, and even if it's just, you and your son or you and your brother or whatever, just let us know, because then instead of having 60, we can have 61 or we can have 65 or whatever, because they're in pods and maintaining the social distance.
And the same applies for the dining room.
Right.
Like right now, we're limited to 80 people socially distanced in the dining room. But if family members are coming, and also that means just 4 people at a table.
Right.
But if family members are coming, we could put 6, 7, or 8 people at a table, and the capacity of the dining room expands.
Right. Yeah. The issue with the dining room is I think 80 people, but you're saying we could expand that. But again, we have to, this is a mathematical problem. How many can we absolutely fit in Upper McShane? And so, but we're trying every way we can. Pat McKay, he called me and he said, "Hey Mike," and I know his wife. His wife was my son's principal. In school, and said, "Hey Mike, Deb's got a pretty good math mind," and she was showing me there might be a different way to set the chairs up in Upper McShane rather than sort of 6-foot squares. Maybe a triangle would work. So we're looking at that also. We're just trying any way we can to get more people here. And it's not that we don't have the rooms for staying over, and it's, we can certainly get more people in the dining hall. It's the 60 right now in Upper McShane without using the pods. The other thing that a lot of people have asked is, some guys have said it's really the staying overnight that gives them the most
concern.
Right, and it's like, hey, you know what? I mean, you can come to the retreat and go back home if you want to stay at home, so that you're only in certain meetings. So there certainly is that option.
Yeah, and Frank McMullen mentioned that. Frank mentioned to his retreatants, well, just come on Friday night. If you live nearby, go home, and then come back Saturday morning and spend the day here. So it's, that was a great idea. The other thing too, with live streaming the conference in Upper McShane to other sites on campuses, we don't have the technology capacity to do that yet. So we would have to go out and buy cameras, more projectors and screens and things like that. But then, if we got more people on campus, can we fit them all into the dining room if it's limited to 80 people?
Right.
Then, when we have prayer services, where do we get the deacons to lead the prayer services in 2 or 3 other sites?
Right.
When it comes to Mass, we'd have to get a priest to be able to celebrate Mass in those other sites. Or the other one is confessions.
Right.
Like, right now, we can only, I'm always hearing confessions, but we can only get one person who will commit to hearing confessions here.
And I get it. I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, the priests are pulled in every direction, and they have to, maintain, their safety, and it's a tough time right now. But again, we're
that's right.
open to any and all ideas to get our mission to as many people as we can to deliver that word. And one of the things that we are doing, I wanted to bring up, was we are putting out to each group a 1-question survey.
Oh yeah, good.
And that question survey is for my next retreat, of my 220 retreat, because the retreats are scheduled for the rest of the year. I plan to attend the 1-night overnight on site. B, I plan to attend that retreat virtually. C, I would be interested if it was a 1-day retreat, which we need to talk about. And then D, I'm going to skip this year because of my concerns, so that we can then best meet the needs of each of the individual groups. And I will say that we've made the decision that regardless of whether there's one person watching it virtually or 500, everything's going to be
Zoom.
so that we have that capability.
Yeah, and trying to get more information about what type of retreat people will attend will also help Dave Picorni better budget for the rest of 2020.
Well, that's the one thing that we can't overlook. As much as we're talking about getting people onto campus and having their retreat, we can't overlook the financial hardship that we are in right now. I likened it to Father Dennis O'Donnell, who was speaking. You have a whole. I shouldn't have used this example last night because I got on there's a leak in my but you look up and there's a water spot in your ceiling, and so you fix the water spot. And then it comes back in 3 months and you fix it. Well, unless you go up and fix the hole in the ceiling. So we do have to look at the financial aspect here, and right now we are bleeding money. And that's why we've been asking folks to if they would donate a number equal to the retreat fee, because we're in a hole $1.2 million, fighting like daylights to get out of that hole. But we need everybody's support, and we get that sometimes that may be a hardship for some people. Maybe $250 is just simply out of the question. That's fine. Maybe it's $5 that you can give. Maybe you break it up into $25 a month and you do monthly giving. But I can't emphasize enough that we need 100% participation in that if we're going to get through this thing with the least amount of bumps and bruises. And right now, my father used to say to me, and I love the line, and I'll say it, I feel like I'm in the 17th round of a 15-round prize fight. It just never ends.
Okay, you brought up a couple of things we should talk about. One is we made the commitment that every retreat here is going to be Zoomed from now on. So that means a lot of women, a lot of men are going to be making retreats at home. And we should talk about how people can get the most out of a retreat that they're making at home. It's easier to come on the campus and you're actually present and things like that. But if people are going to make the decision to make the retreat home, they have to invest in it. They have to think differently.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about some of the ways that will help people at home to get the most out of their retreat. I think what you said earlier is true. Like, they shouldn't be eating popcorn and drinking Diet Coke during Mass or if they're listening to a conference.
Well, you had shared, and I truthfully, I had never thought about it. For the times that we were, I was, watching Mass streaming, I just sat and watched it. And you were, had pointed out, participate. Stand, sit, kneel. Give the responses back. Pray out loud. So that was one. But you also were just talking about setting a quiet place. That is the place for unplug. When you come to Mount Vernon, you drive to the gate, you're unplugged.
That's right.
Well, find that place at home. Let your family know, I'm going to be on retreat this weekend. So, this is the space that I'm going to be in. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to, but you know it better than I do.
No. That's like a retreat is not all conferences. Sometimes people get into the idea that the retreat is just the conferences or the sessions. So for our 1 night, 2-day retreat, we have prayer services and Mass too. So Friday night is night prayer with the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. And that's a prayer service. So if you're going to be making a retreat at home, we're encouraging people to actually participate. When people stand. We're going to be including the lyrics for the songs as an attachment when people register. So if you can, print out the lyrics and actually sing with us. When we're called to be silent and just have some quiet time, do that at home. So that's for Friday night. The same thing for Saturday morning. We have morning prayer with the Angelus, so participate in that. And then also Mass, when we have Mass at 4 o'clock.
And I think that's, that makes for a nice, a nice retreat. I have found that some of the best times that I've had on retreat is having left the conference is over, and then going, all of us, then you go to that quiet place and really think about it.
You just kind of chill out.
You just kind of chill out. So, there's definitely that part of it. There was something else that I want to bring up, and I forget exactly what it was, but it'll come back to me.
Good. And also the conferences are the same way.
Right.
That if people, if there's opportunities to participate in the conferences at home, do that. If the retreat directors have chosen readings from the Bible and they're available with the registration, try to print them out and read them. If things come up on the screen while you're watching or participating in the retreat virtually, participate there.
Well, there's also, I think, because we're using Zoom, there is a portion, I think, in some of the retreats where there's some questions and answers. You can participate.
Good,
now.
yeah.
You can participate, by unmuting yourself, or you could just chat. Go to the chat room and type your question in, and then the moderator would read your questions if you have. But you can participate in that regard. I know that sometimes you like to break off into small groups, which is a little bit tougher to do, so you do it in a bigger group.
Right.
But but you can be part of that discussion. But I remember what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're going on retreat on site or whether you're going virtually, the RPS system has now been set up.
Oh, good.
To have the choice there.
Yeah.
So when you register, you just click, I want to register, on site,
Mm-hmm.
or I want to register virtually. And when you then the virtual will take you to a virtual page where you can register. And it's important that if you want to do the virtual retreat, you really do have to register, because we need your email address to send you the link so that you can get onto Zoom.
And also to give them credit for attending a retreat this year.
Exactly, it does count for your retreat this year, and I think that's so important with folks. And I really think, and we've talked about this, I think this virtual aspect is not going to go away.
It's not good.
Yeah, it is saddened me sometimes when you call some of the guys that we know, and you say, hey, they call and say, hey, Michael, you know what, I can't come on retreat anymore. Either, I physically can't do it, or I'm caring for my spouse, or whatever. And now we can say, well, you know what, you can still attend by going virtually. And I think that's why, like with Rich Koshner's group, it was 39 guys.
Yeah.
So, this, I think we're going to be able to reach more people and keep more people connected to Malvern through the virtual. Nothing beats being on site, but at least those who can't get here can still, have their retreat, which is just, we're finding out we knew it was important to everybody.
Yeah.
But just how important it is to people, it is really a big deal.
Yeah.
People very well, what do you mean I'm not going to have my retreat? So,
Just quickly, because we're running out of time. A couple of things about how to make a retreat at home. We could probably have a whole segment on this sometime.
Well, we probably should.
Yeah. Finding it as a quiet place at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you said is true, asking family members just to leave you alone.
Right.
There are breaks built into the schedule. So, you have to take those breaks at home, but we encourage people, if you're taking a break, don't go out and walk the dog, or don't go and check your emails, or don't go and catch up on the news. Really, if there's a break in the schedule, just spend some time by yourself and then come back for the next scheduled event.
One of the things that I like about coming on retreat, and it's tough, it is tough what I'm about to say, is coming through the gate and shutting off my phone.
Oh yeah.
We're all so addicted to it.
Yeah.
And so I have worked out, my wife knows that I would be on retreat, and I have a special needs son, but we have decided that when I'm on retreat, I will call at about 10 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
And just to check in and everything's okay, I give her the main number here, or the number, in case there's an emergency. But I shut the phone off.
Yeah.
I don't watch anything. I don't read any news, and to really get away. And it's the quiet time, that quiet contemplation is just wonderful. You can just feel yourself relax. And sadly, I get out of here and I turn it back on. I could do without the news. So anyway.
Okay, well listen, I'm looking, this was great. I'm looking forward to next Saturday.
Yeah.
Figure out, what else we want to talk about. And if you ever have any questions or topics that you would like us to talk about, just through the website, just let us know and we'll have a conversation about them some Saturday.
Yeah, and I hope that when we get things lighten up a little bit, maybe we could get some of the folks to come in and join us for a conversation.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, call me at 484-321-2539. Let us know if you'd like to come in and be part of this. And, you know, we'll social distance,
Yep.
but we'd love to have you as part of it.
And it's all part of our communication here at the Malvern Retreat House, trying to share the good things that are happening.
Exactly.
Okay, the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May Almighty God bless you and all of your loved ones, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. And we'll see you next Saturday or any day during the week. There's always something available to watch. God bless everyone.
Prosit.
Prosit.